Hey, welcome back to the Glycogen Cycling channel. All right, let's get right into it. 5 quick tips for cyclists traveling to France. So tip number 1 is to bring your own riding fuel. So personally, I like medjool dates and Cliff Bars, and those were actually kind of hard to find. They had dates, but they were the Deglet Nor kind, which are not as sweet, and I just don't really like them as much. And Cliff Bars and just energy bars in general are just actually kind of hard to find, or at least I had a hard time finding them at the couple grocery stores I went to. So that's what I'd recommend, is just bring your favorite fuel, or just at least enough to tie you over until you can go to, you know, a couple different stores, because they're actually kind of hard to find. Tip number 2 is to download maps on your cycling computer, whether that's your Garmin or your Wahoo. I didn't actually know this, is that when you buy maps for your Garmin, they're only for that country that you bought it in. So if you're in the United States, which I am, I have maps for the US, but I don't have maps for any other country. So what you have to do is to go to OpenStreetMaps. I'll put the link down here. Basically, you can download these maps for free. You don't have to go to Garmin, and these maps are actually better than what you would pay to get from Garmin. And I'm using Garmin just because that's what I have. Wahoo, you may have to look up a different way, but it should work. But basically, these maps are super detailed. They're like, you know, there's a store here, there's a unique, you know, picture area here, and they're just like super colorful and everything. So it was like A+, and it's free. So I'm gonna link a video up here. It's not something I created, but it's the video I used to download them onto my Garmin. Do this before you go, because I was going out for a ride and didn't download these maps, and I just, you know, I made my route on Garmin Connect and it was all just blank when I went outside. And the Wi-Fi there is not super great, so just save yourself the stress and do it before you leave, because, you know, it's, once you have hotel Wi-Fi and all that, it's not super great. So download the maps, link is in description, and there's a video, like I said, up there describing how to do this, and I might make my own even, but until then, check out there. My third tip is to be super cautious when you're riding. So one thing I should say about France is the drivers are super nice. They give you plenty of room. They don't honk at you. They don't buzz you. They don't throw things at you or yell at you out their window. They're super aware of cyclists. And because of that, I kind of got comfortable and just thought, you know, nothing will go wrong at all. So what actually happened was I was riding way too close to parked cars on the side, and that's a big no-no. And for anyone who's a cyclist, if you're not giving yourself a door length from parked cars, start giving yourself a door length, because people will open their doors. And this is what happened to me. I was riding too close to the parked cars. Someone opened their door, and luckily I was going slow enough pulling up to a stoplight that I was able to stop, but I kind of got doored a little bit. Like, the door stopped me for sure. So just be super aware when you're riding around there. Like, drivers are nice. They are, no doubt about it. They are super nice, but don't let that stop you from riding defensively. And to go along with that, the riding style is a little bit different. At least for like in the city, the stoplights are right at the line. So they're not like on the intersection over. So you have to stop at the line, which seems kind of weird, but I know for me at least, I'm used to just rolling up a few bike lengths ahead of the cars, just so they see me and they know where I want to be. But because I kept doing that and I'm just used to doing that, I'm not able to see when the light changes. So when you're riding there, just be aware to stop at the line right where the cars are, and, you know, so you can see the light when it's green. My fourth tip is don't be afraid if you don't know French. this was kind of a last minute trip for me. Like I knew I was going 2 days before, so I had no time to spend learning any French at all. So don't let that bother you too much. Yes, it's good to know a bit and saying like, I don't speak French, I don't know French that well, stuff like that. But pretty much everyone I talk to there knows how to speak English, I should say. So if you just say, hey, I don't know French, they'll be like, oh, okay, and they'll speak English to you. But their initial reaction is to speak to you in French, obviously, because that's their native language. So don't worry about that too much. One thing I would recommend for this is to download the Google Translate app and download the language so you can use it while you're offline. And this is going to go on to my next tip, but download this app and use the language. So tip number 5 is when you're in grocery stores, you know, all the labels are going to be in French. So download this app, the Google Translate app that I just told you about, and you'll be able to search it, because you may not always have great internet connection. So you need to download the language so you can use it while you're offline. And if you have any dietary restrictions, I'm vegan, for example, so I don't eat, you know, eggs, dairy, meat, or whatever. I pretty much just stuck to what I knew, but, you know, just know like the basic, like light is milk, and a couple other basics like milk, eggs, just know what those are. That way when you're just scanning labels, you can just be like, oh, this has milk, no, oh, this doesn't, grabbing that one, you know? So just, you know, if you don't know it, then just use that app and then just type it in really quick. It's gonna take a little bit longer, so prepare for that. Leave a little extra time if you're reading labels, or whatever your restrictions are. If you need to look for nuts or whatever, just be, you know, leave a little extra time if you don't know the language, because they're all in French. And my last tip, a bonus tip, is that how does the phone connection work? So I'm going to speak from my experience because I have Sprint. So this is only going to say for Sprint, whatever carrier you have, you know, do some research. But my phone worked kinda. So I was able to use very slow data. So I was able to order Ubers and things like that. But seeing the position of the Uber was really slow and not that accurate. So just be aware of that. You can buy a data plan there. It's about $25 a week if you're, you know, on Sprint. Personally, I didn't need that. I was there about a week and I just used, you know, the basic data, the slow data, and it seemed fine. Calls, on the other hand, are about, I think, 25 cents a minute for Sprint. I had to make a couple calls. Like, the Uber drivers there like to call you. So, you know, if you're not like in a good area, like a good position on the road where they can see you, they just immediately call you. So, you know, just be aware of that, because you may be charged a bit, like 25 cents a minute if you're on the phone. Other than that, yeah, it worked pretty well, so it was all good. So hopefully these tips helped you out. I know I wish I knew about these tips before I left. Let me know in the comments below where you are traveling to, because I think that'd be really cool to see where everyone's going and where they're riding a bike. And also leave me a like and subscribe, because that really helps me out and I'd really appreciate it. So again, hopefully this video helped you, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.